I feel like there's a lot of people out there that really need to hear this. Caring too much about anything is not the same thing as being weak. And it's crazy because a lot of the time, if you're somebody who tweaks out about stuff and gets really stressed out, it's actually because you're paying attention. It's because things actually matter to you. And it means you notice things that other people don't even pick up on. They completely miss it. Like, you're watching this, you might be the type of person that really gets disturbed and really notices, really tweaks out when something just feels off. When somebody's giving off a weird vibe. When a situation just is not hitting. You might be the type of guy that when you hurt somebody, whether it's on purpose or by accident, when you're falling short in a dynamic or when life starts moving in a weird direction where you feel like you don't have your footing, maybe you start to get upset. Maybe you start to get really hurt yourself. And if your instinct is to take full responsibility over things and just to analyze everything, that's not nothing. That is a real trait. And that's the kind of thing that makes a person dependable, makes them super thoughtful, and also just shows that they take their life seriously. So if you're like me and you have a lot of those traits, that doesn't mean you're a bad person. So if you hate on yourself for it, you're only hurting yourself. But just because it's inherently a positive way to be and you're a good person if you do it, doesn't mean that it serves you, and it doesn't mean it serves the people around you either. Because as good of a person as you are and as much respect as you might get for that, there's a line, man. There's a line, and it's really defined and it's really there. It could take up a lot more space in your life than you want or you could possibly hold. Caring eventually turns into a problem when you start carrying the weight of everything you care about. When every mistake feels massive, like it's the biggest betrayal ever. Every bad interaction you ever have with somebody, it just loops in your head over and over and over and over again. When every little issue starts feeling like it says something terrible about who you are, like it's a Yelp review for you as a person. When your mind starts treating ordinary stress like it's a 5-alarm fire, well, that's when you're absolutely fried. Like whatever your nervous system is doing to you, it's burning the whole place down. And I think that that's the moment where caring stops feeling noble and it transitions to something different and unrecognizable. It's almost like you're overcome with a sensation of exhaustion. And don't get me wrong, because I want to be careful about this topic. I want to be careful with this because I'm not saying you should care less on purpose in some cold, distant, detached way. I'm not saying you should turn into somebody you're not. You shouldn't turn into somebody who doesn't feel anything, that's devoid of emotion, that doesn't think deeply and doesn't take life seriously. But what I'm saying is that caring so deeply and giving everything an equal amount of energy, aka all your energy, it only works if you learn how to carry it in a way that doesn't wreck you. Because as human beings, unless you're some infinite immortal creature that I'm not aware of, we only have so much fuel. There is only so much gas in the tank. So that's just the simplest way I can put it. Your energy is not endless. Your mind is not endless. Your patience is not endless. Even if you're the most responsible, high-effort person in the room, doing laps around everybody socially and physically and quite literally, you can still burn yourself out if you keep trying to run at full speed for too long. Like, imagine you've got 4 pots on the burner, you have them all turned up all the way. You're going to burn all the food. It doesn't work. That's not how you run a kitchen. That's not how you run a personality either. Don't get me wrong, you can care about your job and your friends and your family and your circle, your reputation and the things that you find fulfilling, like your goals and your future and the way that people see you. But if all of that is getting processed at full volume in your ears, blasting all the time, you're gonna hit a wall. You're just gonna. I'm just being real with you. And that doesn't mean that something's wrong with you inherently. It just means you're a person. It just shows that you're a flawed person trying to be the best person you can for the people around you because you love them. Nobody can take that away from you. And I think a lot of caring people don't actually give themselves enough credit for that. They think that they should be able to absorb more and hold more and solve more problems and process it more without feeling it. Then when they get tired, they start judging themselves for being tired and just think, oh, well, I'm just a terrible person. I'm just a shitty friend, whatever. And then that makes the problem worse. And then they overcompensate. It becomes a whole cycle. Burnout doesn't always show up as a dramatic collapse all at once, but But sometimes it shows up as being irritable at dinner, or showing up as numbness and just not really caring about something all of a sudden, giving people whiplash around you. Sometimes it shows up as being overly sensitive to things that are really normal. And sometimes it could even show up as wanting to just quit everything, hit the reset button, goodbye everybody, just ghosting everybody. It could really show up as caring so hard that even small things hit really heavy, and then they build up to big problems, big resentments. And once you hit that point, you are just, it's not good. Once you're running low on fuel, everything could start being more irritable and poking at you and making everything feel more personal. You could think a text message looks loaded and a weird look feels meaningful, or a mistake feels like a huge betrayal. And, these are just supposed to be minor inconveniences that when you pressurize yourself, all of a sudden you're like a bomb that's ready to explode. This is exactly what happens when the tank hits zero. When you hit empty, the mind starts to overreact because it's tired and it's trying to protect itself. So it puts out its arms, identifies everything as a threat, and it's just a broken way to live. And see, if there's anybody who could speak to this, it's me. If you're ever talking to me, if somehow you guys ever meet me, rule of thumb, if you know me and you're talking to me, I am overthinking the conversation as we're speaking. 99% of the time. Simultaneously, I'm a very confident person and I like talking and I'm a social person for the most part, but I'm overthinking it. It's because I hold really high standards for all social interactions, everything I do. If I get a criticism at work, if I get a criticism from a friend, I really do think into it because I'm a tryhard. I'm an IRL tryhard and I get burnt out super easily. It's something that I've been working on for many, many years and I've gotten a lot better with it, but it's been a process. It's been hard. And this is precisely why people who care too much need to become students of their own stress. That's exactly what I did. And it's not in a fake therapy speak type way where I patronize you and say oh, you just gotta feel your feelings, man. But I'm saying in a practical way. You need to know when your brain is starting to spiral. You need to know what to do before it gets away from you, or you at least have to put some effort into understanding it and keeping tabs on how much you're tweaking. One of the biggest mistakes that people make is treating the first emotional reaction like it's the full story, front beginning to the end. It usually is not. It's just the first thing that shows up. So if you point at something the first time you see it and you label it, you're just doing yourself a disservice and also the situation. You don't want to end up in a loop where first of all, a bad thought shows up, it enters your mind, and then a bad feeling shows up because of that thought. And then because of that bad feeling, you get a wave of panic. And then the mind grabs that wave of panic and starts building a whole house on top of it, a whole life. You got wife and kids, you got all this whole lore building on top of your stress. And it's all because you tweaked about one little thing, could have been hours ago. All of a sudden you have... you got a whole freaking Netflix original on your hands. So one of the best things that you can do starting right now today is interrupt that spiral as early as you can. I don't care what you already tweaked out. I don't care if you flipped over the game board. I don't care what you did up until this point. Stop for a second. Say to yourself, I'm all right. I'm gonna be okay. It might suck, but I'm gonna be okay. Take a breath. Sit down if you have to. Pull over on the side of the road. I've done all these things. Stop moving for a second, relax your shoulders, unclench your jaw, and let your body know that this is a moment. It's not a verdict. There's not a judge in front of you. This is one moment. And that little pause, it might matter more than you think. It might really give you the type of reflection to where you could at least get to your next moment without freaking out. Because the reality is, when you don't pause, the stress gets to write the first draft of your story. And stress is a god-awful writer. It exaggerates, it jumps ahead, it sucks. It's an asshole. You don't want stress making up the whole narrative before you've even had time to think about it or just be critical. And that's why I like breaking things down when I'm stressed. It's hard to do, it takes effort, but it's absolutely worth it. I think that's one of the most useful things a person can do for themselves. Not because it makes the emotion really go away, but it at least gives you some type of a shape so you could point at it and say, hey, that's the thing I'm tweaking about. And usually when you do that, they get smaller. So I like to ask myself things like, what's going on? What am I assuming here? What part of this is definitely real and could be verified by other people? What part am I adding? What's my place in all this? Why am I afraid? What am I afraid of that this means? And what can I actually do right now in this moment to impact some type of change. In between doing the breathing exercises and just doing the mantras with yourself, and then also critically thinking and asking the right questions, you can really slow down a lot of unnecessary thinking. And like, I don't say any of this to minimize problems because I hate it when people try to minimize my problems. But a lot of the time, if you slow down long enough to actually examine what you're freaking out about, you usually find that the situation is a lot smaller than you think, and you could actually start to move pieces around and get through it. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much my advice. Let me know in the comment section right now. I have a challenge for you guys. What is one thing that you find is a constant theme that you're stressing about? Maybe other people in the comments will have some advice. I'll be responding to as many people as I can, and it'll be a good back and forth. Maybe we could all get a little better from it. And also, if you guys want to join my Discord community, linked in the description, go ahead and do that. I'm always in there posted up. We're always talking about stuff, chatting around, so it's a fun time. Feel free to join it. But other than that, guys, I hope you guys have a great day. And try not to overthink too much.